Sheila Butler, and I am the host of Successful Women Talk, and we are here today with Missy Stauffer. She is the owner of ISimplify VA, and we are excited to have her here on the show today. She's going to tell us a little bit more about her company, how she got started, and her path to success. So, hi, Missy. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me, Sheila.
Well, we certainly appreciate it. So I'm going to kind of jump in and just get started with the question that I ask pretty much everyone, which is, how did you get started? What made you start your own business?
Well, honestly, it was kind of an accident in my situation. I was staying at home with our toddler son at the time. He was about 2.5 years old, and we found that we were needing some extra money to make ends meet. When you go from two incomes to one, it's a nice little shock to your pocketbook. So at that time, we decided we needed something for me to be able to do to bring in some money. But I tried some of the things that are usually open to stay-at-home moms, like working at the mall for $7 an hour on the weekends and never seeing your family because you have opposite schedules. And I think it was my mom saw some kind of little snippet on the news one night about people who are working virtually, and she said something like, "Hey, Missy, you're so technical, maybe you could do something like that." And so I started looking into it and started kind of just trolling around places like guru.com and elance.com, and ended up finding a client on there. And he was looking for someone just like me. His philosophy was that there's a lot of untapped sharp women out there who have chosen to stay home with their children, and he thought that that would be a really good resource for him to find an assistant. And 'cause he just said he had heard so many of his wife's friends talking about different things that they used to do before they decided to stay home and have children. And he thought, wow, that's really a good resource. So it was a really good first client for me to have, someone that had such faith in the ability of someone who's chosen to stay home with their kids and had a really good attitude about it. So he was my first client, and then it just kind of went from there.
That's awesome. So how were you, did you initially set up as a formal business? Like, did you?
No, not really. And, because I kind of stumbled into the business, it wasn't very deliberate. And obviously if I could go back and do it over again, I would probably change some things, but it's been really good because it's been a very organic process for me. I've really learned from the beginning, what to do and what not to do. And sometimes we have to learn by messing things up. And so that's how I did it, and, so my business today looks quite a bit different than it looked when I first started, but it was a good way to learn it because you kind of learn when the stakes are a little lower.
Exactly. And I think that's the best way to learn, especially if you're ever going to bring anybody else in to help you. I think it's always nice to be able to know how to do everything in your business. It's easier to teach. See one, do one, teach one.
Yeah.
So what was your biggest fear about starting a business? I know you kind of fell into it, but once you realized, okay, I'm really kind of into this business, what was your fear?
Hi, honestly, and I'm guessing that a lot of stay-at-home moms can relate. My biggest fear was, are people going to take me seriously? Are they going to think, oh, this woman, she quit work to stay home with her kids? Is she going to know what she's doing? Is she going to be professional? That was kind of my biggest fear, was that kind of reception from the workforce that I hadn't been in for a couple of years.
Yeah, that's very interesting. That's a good point. So what did you do to make yourself, because even with a small business, I know when we started out with my first small business, we always wanted to look bigger than we were. We wanted to give that impression that we were bigger, more professional, so our graphics and all of our letterhead was really good and our website. So what did you do? Did you know how to do all of those things before you started, or did you kind of learn as you go?
I did learn as I went. And really, to be honest, my philosophy, and it may be kind of backward from the corporate world, but it's kind of been my niche, is just I am what I am, and I like to be genuine and sincere, and I kind of say, my family comes first, and I'm a one-person operation, but you're going to get the very best of me. So that's kind of been my take at the very beginning. As we've gone on, we do try to put more of a professional appearance on things, and
we have a really nice looking website. I know that you not only do VA work as far as administrative work, but you also do a lot of technical work. You're kind of a techie. So you build websites and some code, etc. So do you do your own website, or?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, definitely.
And
Yes.
do you find yourself doing more VA type administrative work with your business or more website techie work?
I really do find that I'm doing a lot more website techie work for people. And that's kind of the niche that I've kind of found, and that's really helped my business grow is that I am able to handle kind of the more technical things. And so people are able to hire a virtual assistant who can do the support type work, but then they can also throw me some web tests that they would normally have to jump through the hoops with a web developer on. And, sometimes web developers aren't very easy to get a hold of.
Sure.
So.
So I know you said you kind of work your schedule around your family, which family comes first, which I'm glad you said that because I think it's important because as women, I think it's important for other women to know that you really can do both. I think you can, it's tough, but I think you can segment your day that you can do both. And if I'm not mistaken, you kind of, you homeschool your son.
Mhm.
So you do both. You run a business and you homeschool your son. So I want everybody to understand that. She does both and she has a very successful business and her son's doing really well being homeschooled. So how do you do that? How do you set up your day? How do you prioritize what's your schedule? Do you have a set schedule with your clients? Why don't you tell us a little about that?
hmm yes, I actually have learned to kind of segment my day into this is my family time of the day, this is my client time of the day, and thankfully I have a very independent son who's self-entertained, and he likes after a morning of doing homeschool activities, whether they're at home or out and about doing different activities for school. When we get home in the afternoon, he likes to kind of chill out in his room and play with his toys and all that different stuff, things. So my afternoons are dedicated completely to my clients, and then the evenings that's more of our family time. And I've been known every once in a while to take a weekend to try to catch up on some work, but generally I try to keep my Saturdays free for family time. And it's that's for me, that's the hardest thing is being a mom and a business owner is kind of drawing that line and you know drawing the line between what's work and what's family, and drawing the line with the client. And it's very difficult when your office is in your home. I'm sure you can relate. It's very hard to, I have to have my office in a completely separate area of the house. I don't work in the living room. I don't work in the kitchen. I don't work in our bedroom. I work in my office. And if I'm not in my office, I'm not working.
Right. I think that's a great point too. And same with me. I have a home office as well. And my kiddos kind of know, and they're a little bit younger. I've got a 3 and a 2-year-old, but they understand though, and we can talk about the fact that when the doors are shut, mommy's in here. It's just mommy and work time, and they know the difference. And that's, I think, women that are working from home, whether it be a woman or a man, but we're mainly talking to women. But women that work at home, you can have that separation. I think it's important to know that you need that separation. You need a little quiet time. You need your own office, and you can separate yourself. And then when you're done, whether it's a 20-minute task or a 2-hour task, then you can leave that room, and then your family kind of knows that it's a different time for you. And I think it's important to set those boundaries.
Mm-hmm.
So being a VA, I know you do a lot of things virtually, of course, because you're a virtual assistant, but what about technology? How has technology played a role in your company? Did you know, there's a lot of things out there now for the modern technology. What type of technology do you use that someone might be able to implement for a business if they were thinking about doing something similar to what you're doing?
Mm-hmm. That's a great question. I love technology and dabbling in all the newest things, and my husband does too. So a lot of times he'll kick me new ideas, which is fantastic. And pretty much my entire business is on a cloud. I have all of my email in a cloud. It's a web-based email. All of my files I have on something like Dropbox, and then I've got some online backup systems, and let's see, all my calendars, everything that I do for my business is pretty much online unless it involves something like Photoshop. And then even then, I've got everything backed up. So, for example, I had a computer crash before Christmas last year. It was like 2 weeks before Christmas. It was absolutely horrible. And I would have been ill if I had not had everything in the cloud. And so really what was great, what worked out is I went out that day to Best Buy and just bought a little kind of like throwaway laptop and hooked it up to all my online programs, and I was back in business that afternoon. I didn't have that sick feeling that I lost everything. So cloud computing has really been revolutionary for me as a business owner. And then also I've got my laptop and my desktop computer, and so now, and that really helps with me doing work while homeschooling, because when I'm running around town going to different classes of my son's, while I'm sitting there waiting for him in class, I just open up my laptop and I can answer emails. I can do some different work for people, and it's all right there because it's all cloud computing.
That's really nice. Some people are afraid of the cloud. I love it. So I use Gmail now. With my first company, we of course were on a server with Microsoft Office. But I love Gmail, and I use Dropbox as well. We'll put a link to Dropbox in case some of you don't know what that is. But it's a great file sharing program. With the new company that I've just started, we're actually using a project management software called Basecamp that's cloud computing as well. We're just started with it, but we're really liking it. So it's become so cheap nowadays. Inexpensive, I should say, to be able to start a business, and you don't have to have all of those resources. You can rent those resources instead of having to buy them, and it's so economical nowadays that almost anyone can start a business.
Absolutely.
So, what suggestion or what type of suggestion would you give to someone that's a little bit fearful of starting a business and having a family? Is there any advice you might give out to someone in that situation, thinking about starting a business?
What I usually tell people is, especially when it comes to starting a virtual assistant business, I get that question a lot. I usually tell people, what do you have to lose? It doesn't require much startup, just like you're saying. It's very inexpensive, and just go for it. My advice is, though, my one piece of advice would be don't give up if it doesn't take off immediately. You have to keep trying, and you'll learn. And, even if there's failures, you're going to learn from those failures for the next time. And so I don't generally see failures in business as a failure, but I see it as more of a stepping block to help me get it right the next time.
I love that, Missy. I totally agree. I think a lot of people don't start things just because they're fearful. And I think you said something earlier that kind of on the same note of you were afraid if people were going to take you seriously. And I think we as women, we're a little bit fearful of that from time to time. What will our friends think? What if it's not successful? Well, it's a great big world out there on the internet, and you can do a lot with a business. And I think just trying something. And I think the best advice that you gave is, even if it is what people consider a failure, it's not really a failure if you learn from it. So I think learning from those mistakes, like you said, is huge. And I consider that building character. I don't consider it failure. Yeah. I consider it building character. And I have built a lot of character with business. I'm sure you have as well.
Yep.
Awesome. Well, we certainly appreciate you taking the time to talk with us today. Hey, if someone wanted to hook up with you, Twitter, Facebook, where's the best place for them to find you?
Okay, well, you mentioned I have a website, which is www.ISimplifyVA.com. And I also have Twitter, which is ISimplify. I better double check that.
I do the same thing.
ISimplify VA.
Perfect.
And I'm also on Facebook, and you can search for ISimplify Virtual Assistants on Facebook.
Great. And I'm guessing you guys are taking new clients.
Yes, absolutely. In fact, I have a new team member, Anna, who is also a virtual assistant, and she's also accepting new clients. So, she's fabulous.
Well, I know I've used you guys for a project, and I think you guys we're gonna hopefully start working together pretty soon. And I have heard nothing but great things about you guys and ISimplify. So, you guys are highly recommended.
Thank you.
And, thank you again for agreeing to do the interview with us, and for helping other women see that you can have both. You can own a business, and it's great. I find no better being a mother and owning a business are two really great positive things in my life. And I think that more women need to be unfearful of being able to go out and start a business, and seeing the story like yours and hopefully like mine, they'll be able to take that first step and just go for it. So thanks, Missy. We appreciate your time.
Thank you so much for having me.
Awesome.
This is great.